teens to people in their 70s, late 70s that work out on a regular basis. We have the spectrum of all spectrums, but everyone is working towards the same goal. Results vary from one person to the next based on how much you lock into the process, which takes some time, and it takes, you know, year after year of going through it, just like anyone who's learning how to do bodybuilding. It doesn't happen in 6 months. It doesn't happen in a year. It's a year after year progression. And the same thing happens with our Dream Team program. You might have a really good first year. You can have an even better second year, and the results can continue to grow. One of the things that sets our gym apart are the results that we produce through this program, and the consistency throughout the entire year. The gym doesn't just close up at the end of April. We continue on with progress that can be made at the end of a cut that will allow you to continue to progress if you follow the platform that is presented to you. There's nothing but success that comes from it, and I'm a prime example of that. So it's a really great opportunity to be a part of something where everyone's kind of working together towards the same goal, because you never feel like you're alone. And probably from speaking to a lot of people that do this, is it's always good to have a cheerleader in your corner, and Dream Team has about 200 plus people cheerleading for you all along the way. So it's a fantastic experience and a great way to be
So,
introduced into the sport of bodybuilding.
so that's good. I mean, everybody has to start when they get to it, like, just get into it for fitness reasons. And then all suddenly, because they understand, I would say, not trust the process, but understand the process. And
Understand,
then,
yes.
yeah. And then over time, then they can really invest their time into it, then make that switch to jump into bodybuilding. I know quite a ladies who started other sports like CrossFit or powerlifting. They just, and also come from a very athletic background. Like you, was you an athletic young person yourself?
I was. I grew up playing sports. I was a fairly, successful runner. And that was the sport that I excelled in the most. I continued to run after high school for a period of time. And then after life changed, my like late 20s, through my 30s for the most part, I just gave up on that part of my life because I started a family, and, it was a little bit more challenging to prioritize those things. But I was very fortunate to be brought back into the gym that I was brought into, and be introduced to the sport of bodybuilding. Out of anything that I've been, entertaining throughout my life, this one I've connected with the most. But it's also was presented to me at a really good time in my life. I've noticed that the women in bodybuilding that tend to be the most successful are my age or older. There's a larger population of women over the age of 35 that do this than under the age of 35 that are successful at it, because you're, in my opinion, mature enough to understand the commitment and the sacrifices that you have to make, and you're willing to do them because you've already had to commit to things that are uncomfortable or sacrifice things in your life, up to that point. And so this is just the next opportunity to see how much you're able to commit and how much you're willing to sacrifice, because you'll survive. When you've decided to start a family, and have a full-time job, and just have all those things on your plate, and you get through them week after week, month after month, and you survive. Stepping into this sport, knowing that it's difficult, knowing that there's always going to be a challenge ahead, and that it gets harder as the further along you go in the process, knowing that all of your past experiences that were challenging, you survived, makes this easier to overcome at this stage of my life than it probably would have when I was in my 20s, because I hadn't been faced with many challenges at that point in time.
That's things when we're young, we want everything young. Well, like young people, especially when we were young, we want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry. But that's not how life works. It takes
Mhm.
time, it takes patience, and being a mother and raising children, you gain that. Because my mother, she had six of us, and that's a
Mhm.
lot to have. You got to, and she was working too and taking care of kids, not just six of us kids, but also she had, took care of my, helped take care of my nieces and nephews, grandbabies, and that's the thing is that, yeah, women when they hit to their 30s and 40s, because they hit that level of muscle maturity, because when you're young, your body's like on fire, like every day. But then we hit that peak over 30, everything slows down. And I think it does get the body time to really build size and conditioning.
No, yeah, and the patience, that's the big part of this process. I'm entering into my sixth year of this, and I know that if my goals that I have for me probably won't be accomplished for another probably 4 or 5 years, and that's okay. I'm willing to wait the time that it takes. But like, yeah, so when I was in my early 20s, I probably would have given up on it very early on in the game.
Yeah, that's the thing is that especially when we're young, especially distracted, and you have babies. And how old are your babies?
My daughter is 14 and my son is 4.
Oh, so you got 10 years apart. So that's one to help you with the diapers. So,
Yes, well, my son is actually a product of my first dream team experience at the gym. I had not been taking very good care of myself for a long period of time prior to that, and it was a moment in my life where I kind of went, okay, this is not where I thought I'd be or who I want to be, and that's when I was invited into the gym. I'm having that conversation with someone, but about 3/4 of the way through the Dream Team program, the 16-week program, I found out I was expecting my son. So he was a product of taking better care of myself. I just was under the impression that I probably wasn't going to have any more children, but it was because I wasn't taking good care of myself in many ways, shapes, and forms. And then once I got my body working better, functioning better, just healthier, um, along came Dana.
so that was, so you might say he was your miracle baby.
He was my dream team surprise.
Well, that's the thing is, that's precious. Like I said, I don't have children of my own, but I do have nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews. I love them just as much as if I had my own children. And children really, they really teach you how to be a better person, a better
Oh
parent.
yeah.
Especially if you got a teenager, you got to remember, yeah, this is what my mom used to do. She used to have to beat us down. You got to put them in their place. Well, they lose their
Tempting
face.
it.
Yeah, and she has interest in fitness herself. And she's very athletic too.
She is a very good runner. So one of the things that I'm very fortunate to be able to do is I coach at the school that I work at, a Catholic school. It's a preschool through grade 8 Catholic school, and I'm the advancement director. So I have about 12 jobs that I do that make me the advancement director. But I'm also the athletic director, and I get to coach our track and our cross country team that we have that is available to all of our kids in kindergarten through 8th grade. The teams are not inclusive to our school. I have opened them up to the community. So any of the kids in our area that would like to run track or cross country can be on our team, that I don't have to be enrolled at the school. But my daughter had gone to the school since she was in kindergarten. She went all the way through 8th grade, and she ran on the cross country team, and did track as well. She's in high school now, and her team just won the state championship for cross country, and she's a freshman. She got to be a runner like on the varsity team this year, so she's doing really well there. I have asked her a couple times if she would be interested in doing anything with bodybuilding, but the urge for her to do so under my supervision is not there. If I'm assuming if someone else asked her to do it, there's a really good chance that she might want to, but she's got a lot of potential, and she has a very beautiful physique already. If she would train it, she would knock it out of the park. But when the time comes, if it ever comes, I'll be ready and anxious and waiting. But it's if and when that ever happens.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it started out with you and your training, your genetics, and whatever her father brought into it.
Mhm.
And the thing is, like I said, she's young. She wants to enjoy her life. It's going to be there whenever she's ready for it. I say,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
rush into it because you don't want to get too burned out. And yeah, some of my kids sometimes you don't want your mama over your shoulders. You
Oh,
want to be able to be having
yeah.
fun and have to say, "Mom, is it mom?" That's the thing about children. So what was the first show like for you when you started competing?
So I was able to compete in Pittsburgh. They through the OCB they host an amateur show in October and in April every year. One of the women that I go to the gym with is in her 60s, and she did her first competitive bodybuilding show in Pittsburgh in April of that year. And there was another woman that was also from our gym that also competed as well. So I saw both of them kind of going to the next level. I was fortunate enough to do really well through the Dream Team platform, that it wasn't a challenge for me anymore. It was like, sounds conceited, but it became too easy to compete in our gym. I was producing results that the 99% of the other people that go to our gym do not produce. So I asked the owner, said, what's the next step? Like, what do I do next? And he's like, well, you can compete. So I decided I was going to prep for the stage competition. And so I did the dream team of 2025 for 2024, pretending like I was prepping for a bodybuilding stage competition. So I went through dream team, and at the end I went through the whole thing. Um, 3 days before I hit the stage, I stopped working out. I carb loaded. I did my water fast the day before. I did all the steps that you would do to present yourself on stage, just to go through the motions. So I felt prepared for my prep for the fall. So it was a really good opportunity for me to work hard for 16 weeks, pretend like I was stepping onto a bodybuilding stage and get the experience under my belt, pump the brakes for a couple of months, and then I chose to do an 11-week prep and prepped for the first bodybuilding show where I actually hit the stage. It went really well. It was an extremely encouraging and uplifting experience. I can't tell you how amazing all of these people that I've met, men and women, are through competitive bodybuilding. The OCB is a great organization. They host very well run shows. Everything went really, really well anytime I competed through them so far. But the preparation, felt almost too easy for me for that because I had just done it. So it was very fresh in my mind. I didn't feel nervous or anxious about it. I didn't have a lot of questions because I had the experience very recently under my belt. So the confidence that I had going into my first show was very, very, very beneficial for me. So like there was very little self doubt other than, not really knowing if I could do better than I had done the last time or not. The women that I was, competing with that day never felt like we were competing against each other. We were extremely encouraging to one another. There was only 3 women in my division. Of course, women's physique's the smallest, one. So there's 25 people for figure and 4 people for women's physique. Pretty much every show you go to at that level. But I couldn't have had a bigger smile on my face at the end of the day. I just really enjoyed being able to present what I was able to produce. I practiced hard for it. I earned every ounce of recognition that I received that day through blood, sweat, and tears at the gym. And it felt extremely empowering to walk off of that stage being, handed over, multiple awards for my efforts, and just to be recognized for all the time and energy that I put into what I was able to produce for that. Similar to like an artist, carving a sculpture, all the time and energy. And then when it's all said and done, you get to look at it and say, wow, I'm pretty impressed with that. I got to do that with me.
Mhm. Well, being a bodybuilder, you're like your own artist. Your
Correct.
body's like the if you're like a sculpture, it's like the clay, or if you're a painter, it's like the canvas, and the gym is like the tools you use, like the brush and the paint.
Hmm.
It's a process. It takes time. In OCB, I've interviewed quite a few ladies who have competed. I know a friend of mine named is Nicole Strauss. She just made her pro debut just last year, Chesapeake. Some other ladies who started out in OCB but switched over to NPC and
Hmm.
other organizations. And that's a very, I think, one of the biggest natural organizations right now. And you're in. So you talk about So you're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we are about 2 hours plus north of Pittsburgh.
All right. So one of the biggest shows is coming up in a couple of months. That is the Pittsburgh Pro. They do have a natural pro qualifier, but you have to do a natural regional show to get onto it. Have you been interested about that? Because I said again, quite a few OCB competitors have switched over to the NPC.
Yes.
And what really got you to do natural over where some people would do try to be enhanced?
Mhm. I've had a really good experience with the OCB, and I'm a loyalist. One of the things that I tell all the people that I train at our gym is that I have only trained at our gym. I have no reason to go outside of our gym. I have no one that I need to consult with outside of Bill Lawrence because all of my results and everything that I've been able to accomplish has happened there and under his guidance. So I don't need to go outside of there to train myself or to educate myself through this process. With the OCB, I've had some really great experiences with my amateur, my pro show, and even at their like top level of competition, the Yorton Cup. I enjoyed it enough, and I've met so many amazing people through that organization. I really don't feel a need to go outside of it. I like what they stand for. I like what they project. I like the way that they treat the male and female athletes very evenly. And it's just been something that I don't feel I need to go outside of. Also, to be totally honest, too, competing in multiple organizations in increases my investment in this. And I don't have a lot to go around outside of what I've already invested in it. So if I compete in this organization or that organization, I have to pay all their different fees to be a part of them. And I'm supporting this myself, so that would be challenging. Some of the women that I met through, the OCB compete in multiple organizations. They did, I can't, some of them did, 5 or 6 shows last, year when I just did the two. But the investment, that I had to commit to for those 2 shows was significant enough that I can't spread myself all across the board financially. It's challenging.
Yeah, you don't like I say you don't want to burn yourself out, especially when it comes to this sport. It's just I would say bodybuilding is a expensive hobby compared to other
It is
sports.
a very expensive hobby. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
but I've met
and
so many amazing people in the OCB. I look forward to going back to their shows and seeing them again, honestly. That is one of the things that, I've really, really, really embraced in this program. Is just the people that you meet along the way, the experiences that you get to share with them, and just knowing that you're all working towards the same thing. But I've met some really great people that I would love to go back and stand on stage next to again. And so if I can meet up with them there, same place, same time next year, I'm all for it.
well, it's good that you found bonds and friendships, and you're loyal. Respect your loyalty. Sometimes it's nice to try to maybe tempt somebody to come over to the dark side. But it's good to be loyal. And I was mentioning Lawrence, and who is Lawrence?
Bill Lawrence is the person who owns the gym that I attend. He was a competitive bodybuilder for a number of years, very successful. He developed, the Dream Team platform based off of a man from Australia who was a bodybuilder that also had his like PhD in like nutrition and things along those lines. And so there's a really specific science that he uses, for our program, the way that we do nutrition around our workouts and whatnot. But he's been, helping people try to learn and understand this process for 25 years. A decent number of his clients have been with him for 20, 25 years. And I understand why, because it said it's just the community that we have in our gym that he's created and the program with the results that it produces. It's successful, but he's a tough love, instructor. He's not going to let you make excuses if this from personal experience or anyone that does this. It's extremely intentional. The process doesn't have, cheat codes. You can't speed it up. You can't, make exceptions. It's a very clear path that you need to follow to get these results. One of the women that I met through the OCB, she said something that I've connected with very significantly. She said, "I'm not special. There's nothing about me that's any different than you. I just did what it takes to get here." And Bill is really good to walk you through that process at the level that you're at. And when you're ready for the next step, he's there to give you what the next step is. So I thought I did a good job. He said, "You could do better." What do I do to do better? You do this. And then, 6 months went by, did better. All right. I never thought I'd be here. Now that I'm here, what do I do now? This is what you do next. He always has the answer for what's next. I don't want to be that person that said I always went all in on it, because it's natural and normal to be hesitant for some of this process because it's something you've never done before. When someone says this is what you have to do, you go, "No way, that doesn't work." Like the amount of food that I have to eat. People don't believe me that I eat as much as I do and I stay as lean as I do, but it's the process that you have to go through to grow muscle. It's and things aren't independent from one another as far as your diet and your exercise. And Bill's platform is very successful with balancing out your diet and your exercise. Um, but yeah, it's been a really great experience being under his wing and not being able to make excuses that hold me back. And now that I get to help people through this process, I treat them the way he treated me. It's not for everyone in the beginning, but when they are willing to go all in and accept the fact that what they thought wouldn't work actually works, it produces good results for them. But I'm teaching it to them the way it was taught to me, by not letting excuses hold you back, following the steps in the right order, and then doing things in the way that you'll actually see the process like progress for you. It's a lot of conversations, a lot of hours. A lot of people don't make it the distance. They have the potential to do so, but doesn't mean you give up on trying to teach to other people. I think that's why Bill's been such a great mentor to me, because even when you're not willing to do it all, if you fight the process, you step away from it and you come back and say, I'm ready now, he'll help you on to the next step. He doesn't say, get out of here. You don't want to do this. I don't want to teach you. It's just, when you're ready, I'll let you know what the next step is. And anytime I get to that next step and I'm ready to go forward, he's got an answer for me.
That's good that you have a good relationship with Bill, who really is a good mentor, a good coach, a good trainer. And that's important as a bodybuilder to have that bond with your coach. Some coaches will just give you the same kind of cookie cutter plan to give to another competitor. And then as you're a woman, you have to work with certain things because men and women are biologically different.
Mhm.
Building muscles different compared to a man. Like, I used to play sports when I was younger and lift weights, and I'm still a big dude, but I'm a little bit more rounder than I was, when I was younger. And also sticking to a plan, because sometimes, as my other half like says, like this, I don't have a plan. This Christy, I'm just a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know to do what if I get one. And also being, this is one thing important about being a bodybuilder. You have to be disciplined. You have to be, consistent, persistent, and also understand that there's a lot more to it. And the eating part is the most important part about it, because you're not like the more enhanced competitors use performance enhancers for growing muscle. You're doing a more of a long in run into bodybuilding, where it takes more time to put on the size of muscle conditioning. Because most people think about bodybuilding, think about it's big old black guys and big guys with steroids and looking like Arnold, but there is a process to this, and understanding and also knowing what you're doing, and have people in your corner like Bill to help you that way is important. So, folks, while we get Christy here, we're going to do this. We're going to jump to social media for a bit. If you want to follow her link's description of this live. You want to check her out, support her. Reach out and get your interest, guys. Don't be weird. Be respectful. She's a nice lady. I don't want no trouble. She got some kids too. Come on, guys. Come on. Just be nice. So we're going to jump into her social media for a bit here. And oh, here he is, the little man. Oh, he's so cute. Yeah. Can I ask you? Can I eat your baby, Christy? Yeah, yeah. I get in mid belly. Yeah, And here she is. We've got a lot of our babies and kids here, and this is from the Yorton. This was last year. Where was that fitting for you, Dad? Where was it? That's your first time at the Yorton?
Yes, yep, yeah. When I did my amateur show in 2024, it was right after the Yorton had concluded through the OCB, and I did very well with the amateur show. I stood out significantly amongst my competitors, and I said to myself, I would like to compete in the Yorton. And I initially decided I thought I might try to shoot for the Yorton in 2026. And then I very quickly talked myself out of that. And I decided I wanted to compete in the Yorton the following year. So I went to Norfolk, which was about 3 weeks prior to that show, just to get some stage experience. And then I just hung in there for a couple more weeks and had a little rough spell with a couple of things in between the two shows, which I'm hoping to figure out how to balance out a little bit better this time around. Um, But yeah, the Yorton was a really great experience. The OCB puts on fantastic shows, and the Yorton was very eye opening. The competition there was significantly higher than it was, of course, at the amateur level, and even at the pro show 3 weeks prior. There was some really good competition, but the Yorton was the best of the best. So I was happy that I did it, but I was very humbled immediately when we were all getting ready to go on stage, and it put things into perspective that I've got a lot of work to do if I'd like to get to that level. And I'm hopeful that I can, produce a package like some of those women were able to produce because I was extremely impressed by them.
Yeah, yeah. And what was did you get some feedback from the judges? What they tell you that you needed? Because for this picture right here, this is like this is your first show to this picture, and
Yes.
you have really evolved. I mean, you can really see the more fullness in the glutes. Better connection in the lower part of your hamstrings, a little more width, density. You really has
Yes.
evolved from this point to now.
I did work a lot harder to get leaner for that show. Yeah, that was my before I started at the gym. Well, we take pictures. That's a big part of our dream team process. But yeah, that was my very first dream team picture ever. um, but yeah, no, I was able to get leaner for the second show because I worked harder physically. This year, I'm trying to work harder in the kitchen as opposed to working harder in the gym to get a little bit leaner. The biggest area that I suffer in, and anyone that does this, knows, is my posing is horrendous. I don't have, like, Bill is my mentor. I attend his gym. I work out on my own. I set my own meal plans. Bill is a good coach, of me, and I can ask him questions at any point in time. But at this stage of the game for me, about 90% of what I do is what I choose to do. So, like, a lot of the women that I was competing against have a personal trainer that they work with, for all their workouts. They have a nutrition person that's telling them what to eat. They work with a posing coach that they pay for, all those things. I don't have any of those things. If I really wanted them, I could get another job to pay for them.
Mm.
But that my biggest area of weakness is just my stage presence is bad. A lot of my placement at both of the shows, my pro shows, the Norfolk and at the Yorton, was based off of my stage presence and not 100% off of my package that I brought to the stage. So that's an area that I have to really start to try to focus on, is just developing a better posing routine, and just my posing in general needs to improve. But that would be in addition to hopefully a little bit better package, physique wise as well.
Yeah, because I know that's the thing about bodybuilding. It's not just about size and conditioning and everything else. You have to have a good presence on stage. Like, you can
Yes,
have a great overall looking physique, like she's very impressive here, but then if you're not a great poser, and
correct.
I know that's one of the expenses of being a bodybuilder, is trying to find somebody who really work with you, a coach, for posing, a coach for your prep. That's why it's an expensive sport. And you're now a sponsored athlete. That's a big part of it, right?
Yeah, no, no, nothing like that. No. The one thing I tell people all the time about this process, if you're going to, prep for a stage competition, um, all the lifting of the weights, all the sacrifices in the kitchen, none of it is as hard as the posing. Posing hurts. It's very, very challenging. It's not natural in any way, shape, or form. It's one of the most unnatural things that you'll ever force yourself to do. So it's extremely, extremely hard on top of your fatigue that you're experiencing from your prep. Like when you look like that picture there, you aren't functioning with all of everything firing the way that you would like it to. You're tired, you hurt. The nutrition deprivation makes it very hard to pose, and if you want yourself to look like those pictures, like nice and full, you have to force it, and it hurts.
Yeah, because you're really doing a lot to your body, 'cause especially when you're in show condition, because you're very thin skinned, you don't take much. You can sit in the tub and be feeling like every little nick and cranny. For I talk with some ladies in their experience, and then yes, the diet part is hard because you are eating, but you're not eating to get full. You're just eating to fill your muscles.
Pretty much, yeah. And so it's the calorie deficit is the part that 90% of the people that won't be successful at this, that want to be successful at this, will not commit to. There's no way that you'll ever know. I don't care what app you have, what watch you wear, what thing you choose to hook yourself up to in any way, shape, or form, will ever be able to tell you how many calories you burn. The only thing you have control over is the calories you consume, and you are going to consume enough to keep your eyes open throughout the day, that keep your body moving through the motions of your workouts to the best of your ability, keep yourself moving forward with what you need to accomplish, and not much more than that. And so it's a very strict diet where you write out what you're going to eat, and then you eat what you've planned for and nothing else. It's not, finishing the last two chicken nuggets off of your kid's plate before you throw it in the garbage. It's not having beer. One of the ways that people are presented with this opportunity to go through this process is like an 80-20 plan, to get to that level there. Like Kristen, who, just annihilated everybody in women's physique. Very well deserved win, by the way, and she's an amazing person. Um, you have to go all in on it. It's not 80-20, it's 99 to 1. That 1%, you can give yourself a little bit here and there the further into your prep that you go, but eventually you have to go all in on it, and it's uncomfortable. But it's just trying to push through that on top of your workouts, which have to increasingly get more difficult throughout your prep. The posing is just, it's very, very challenging. I don't like it at all. And it's the one thing that makes me not want to compete. Doing all the work to get on, the body to look good. I'm all about it. I'll do that all day, every day, eating the food to look the way I want to look. That doesn't bother me that much. The posing is just very challenging, and it feels defeating to me because it's hard. It's really the hardest part of the sport, if you ask me.
See, this is what I learned. This is someone told me a long time ago. My older brother, he passed away. It's been like 20 years. And I remember somebody telling to me, it says, George, sometimes God don't put no more than he bears on our shoulders. Some things can either bend us, but it can never break us. And that's the thing about this. When you're in sport,
Mhm.
sometimes you're going to have to bend a little bit, but as long as you don't break, you're doing good. And as long as you have people like
Mhm.
Bill and your kids support you, that's important because this sport can really, between the mental aspects of the physical, the financial, the just the whole spiritual part of it, it can really take a toll on you. And then again, like I said, again, the food part, like your baby, Bob, mom, I'm gonna eat the chicken nuggets, and the chicken nuggets looking at you. You're like saying, you be calling my name, man, be calling my name, but because you don't want to derail your goals, you say, nah, I'm just gonna throw him in the trash. He'll probably eat them later because he's still a baby. So they change their mind whenever they feel like they want to eat. And like I said, that's the thing about the process. It's good to understand your weaknesses and work on your strength. Like, what do you feel like is your overall best feature overall physically?
Appearance wise,
Hmm.
my best feature, I've got, compared to a lot of the other women that are my size in this, I have a really good shoulder development. I said from about here up, pretty good. From here down, we'll hope for better. But that's my one, I guess that's my calling card. I say when I walked into my registration for the Norfolk show, I saw all these like OCB women that I've been, seeing on their posters, and they were like their, Yorton Cup winners from last year, and the big wigs, and I'm seeing all of them in the lobby, and I'm just like these are the girls, like these are the ones I've been following. I have pictures of them on my phone, like I watch their videos of their routines on stage. I was kind of geeking out. And then the one gentleman who's won, I think the last 5 years, goes by Magnum. Him and his wife Jackie are the ones who run the Norfolk show. And when I walked into register for the show, she was at the computer, and he was standing off to the side at like the swag bag area. And she's like, "Hey, shoulders," like she kind of called my shoulders out. And then he looked at me, he was like, we went like this. And I was like, that guy just said I look good. I was like, oh my God. Like he's like the rock star, in the organization. But like that's always been just something that a lot of people will come when I get really lean, my shoulders pop out pretty good compared to a lot of other female bodybuilders in the natural division. So that one I'm kind of proud of. And it's also the part of my body that hurts all the time. So I think I work them hard.
I can see it. I'm getting older now, and I'm getting arthritis in both my knees. I got two bad knees, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, and I'm carrying all this too. And yeah, everybody has that thing about them. Like, why? What folks? When I got some pictures from her, this is what I did. And if you, any of y'all who follows bodybuilding, especially in the IFB NPC, she reminded me of a particular competitor, which sometimes do even ladies ask them who the person that really inspired them. They said, this is one lady that often drop the name of, and that is Dana Lynn Bailey. And I
Someday.
see a kind of strong similarities to it, especially in the shoulders, a little bit around the taper of your lats, your waistline. I like think the posing. Yes, you got to work on because you really want
Oh
to get
yeah.
your legs a little. If you work on the posing a little better, you would do most definitely good. Because sometimes that's what the judges are looking for. They look for an overall look, and you have that. That's why I was saying maybe we could try to get you to come over to the NPC and the IFB. Get you. It's a throwback because there's a new division now in the this movie I call Fit Mile. Excuse me. Ha! It's supposed to be a throwback to bikini, but again, as any sport, athletes evolve. Like back in the day, women's bodybuilding, some of the women were maybe smaller than bikini competitors, and that was women's bodybuilding.
Hmm.
Divisions like physique, like you in, those women are evolving. There's wellness, there's because they're going by every woman is different. That's why
Yes.
wellness. Some women who have the maybe bigger, wider hips, thicker quads, more lower body dominant is a good division for
Hmm.
them. Women who are more slender, taller, broader shoulders, wider back, figures a good division for them. And physique and women's bodybuilding, those divisions women are more size. I think women's bodybuilding is the ceiling, especially in IFB and NPC. What got you to choose physique? Because many competitors start off maybe in one division. That was the division you exclusively started in, right?
I don't fit into any other division. There's absolutely no point for me to try to change gears or go any other direction. My genetics and the way my body responds to weight training, I wouldn't fit into any other division. It just my shape and size doesn't complement the requirements for anything else, so I went that direction because that's the package I'm able to produce for a bodybuilder. We've got some women in our gym that would be fantastic, bikini competitors. There's no way I would ever step onto a stage into that division. And they said I don't have the makeup for really anything else other than this. There are some people I feel that are fortunate enough to be able to do one and the other. Or that they really work toward a different division. I like working out just overall. I lift 5 days a week. And I train one muscle group like per day. That's just the way I do it. I do back one day, legs one day, arms one day, chest one day, shoulders one day. um, and for me to change divisions, I would have to double up on something to try to increase the size of just kind of one part of my body to start to fit that mold, and I just don't really have an interest in doing that either. But I feel like I was made for physique, and that's where I'll stay.
Well, that's special because I think everybody's built different. Like some women can really put on muscle more. Some women are more slender. Like so again with I mentioned about how wellness. Some women are more bottom heavy. They can really put on the sides and the legs and the quads.
Hmm.
It's and also a factor is always with genetics. That's always the
Yep.
one thing. Genetics versus hard work. If you can put the time, put the work and the investment into it, it's like anything. It's an evolution for almost any athlete.
Yeah, yeah, and we said I can have two people doing a woman that I trained with in 2025, from 2024. No, 2025. Yeah. She was in, the figure division. She did an amateur show in October in Pittsburgh. And her and I really trained exactly the same for the most part throughout the whole year. We started training after I competed in my amateur show. And she's like, I think I'd like to do a show, next year. And so her and I, worked out together and totally different divisions. And she looks very different than me, but we did basically the same workouts for almost an entire year. So it is, it is what it is. You're going to produce what you're able to produce. The package that are able to present is going to be based off of what you have to work with. And we were both doing the same work, but she looks a lot different than I do because she's just a very different person. Obviously, we're all different, but yeah, even though we did the same workouts, so that her, shape and size and development was different than mine, in a good way. But it said it really just, we had very similar weights that we used for almost every exercise as well. So it just depends on, what your body's able to produce through your training. Really is what division really suits you best, I guess.
Yeah. I think I've had conversations with ladies who were either in divisions like bikini or figure, and then you want to go up to a division like physique because they get tired of the high heels. 'Cause,
Yeah,
that's you got
yeah,
that's
no interest in those heels.
no, no. I had a lady told me a story once where when she was competing figure, she used to do this. She used to take a blow dryer and she had to loosen up the straps by just blowing on the
Mm.
straps, and so she get them off her shoes because after a while you walk on those things, they'll be uncomfortable. So
Oh.
and a thing, it is a process of understanding where you go, where you belong, what fits for you. The
Mm.
training style is different. Sometimes, like I think with bikini competitors, they can train for more for aesthetically to be more of a certain look or a certain type. But with other division, like I would say figure, physique, and women's bodybuilding, you got to put on more size, conditioning, more fullness in your, especially certain part of your muscles. Like I say, you have good shoulders, but say you have to work on your other things. Like,
Mhm.
what's your training regimen like during the week?
So I when I'm cutting, I will lift and do max OT cardio in the same day. But I spread them out at least 8 hours. So like I'll go in and lift in the morning at 4 o'clock and like 4:30 in the morning, and I train a muscle group. Like say on Sunday, I will train back for an hour. We also said I have like boot camps in our gym that I will, participate in, primarily just because I like them. It's really not recommended to do them, but it's very enjoyable. And our gym family is filled with a lot of great people that I really enjoy spending time with and working out with. And I train by myself, so it's a very nice way for me to work out with other people for the boot camps. But over a period of time when I was trying to grow muscle, I would avoid them more. Um, but right now, I will train, my muscle group for an hour, just trying to make sure like for back, I'm working up, out, down, just making sure I'm trying to get like full range. I train my lower back pretty intensely compared to a lot of other people in our gym. I don't know what a lot of other people do for training because I don't spend time with them, but people in my gym, I spend more time on my lower back than most people do, just to help me with a number of things, and also my appearance. But the Max OT cardio, if you're not familiar with it, it's a 16-minute circuit, high intensity, increasingly gets harder. It's a low impact, high calorie form of cardio that's very intense. You're dripping sweat when you're done. You can't breathe comfortably throughout the process. And then there's the response afterwards where it helps kind of keep your metabolism really going as hard as it can for a number of hours afterwards. So I'll weight train for an hour in the morning, and then I'll do the max OT cardio after work about 4 days a week, in addition to my weight training. Saturday mornings, we have a pretty intense boot camp that's about a 30-40 minute partner workout, pretty intense workout. And then I train my abs on that day as well. But I train more than most people should. But I enjoy it so much that I do what I do, and I do produce good results from it. But I'm one of the like kind of twice a day people, Monday through Friday most of the time, and then Saturday it's about 2 hours worth of training, and Sunday it's about 2 hours worth of training as well. So they said if I was looking for maximum growth, I would not do that much. And that's one of the areas that I suffer in bodybuilding, is doing too much. If I did less with the intensity that I do my weight training, without robbing myself the energy that I exert for cardio, I'd probably grow bigger muscles. But I also like to get as lean as I can, and so doing both of those helps me get there.
Yeah,
That's one of the
that's
biggest differences with the physique competitors, is the physique competitors are typically significantly leaner than the other divisions. So for me to compete on the level that I'd like to compete in physique, I do have to be extra lean. And like a bikini competitor, it's challenging for them to be extra lean and still have the fullness in some of the areas where they're being judged.
Yeah, because one thing, they don't want the girls to be too developed in that division. They don't want, like, even the NPC and IFB don't want the girls to have too much direction in the glutes. They don't want your
Mhm,
back, too much detail in your back, because you go hair's gonna cover most of it. They want that certain nice lines, good roundness,
mhm,
but not too muscular, because it could be easier to. Like I said, I do content quite often on women bodybuilding. I'm seeing women right now in the IFB who could be doing with bodybuilding, who are physique. I've seen figure competitors who can do physique. I've seen wellness
mhm,
competitors who can do either one of the divisions in the top two. But it's about what works for you in the training. It sounds like I don't know. I have a pacemaker. I don't know if I can. I'll be like, okay, I can say, and you sweating. I be saying, be looking and say, he just melted. He was a ghetto snowman. And that's a good thing about that, because I remember I used to be in the gym, and I need to get back to it. Well, like I said, I got my knees and problem. And that's the place that for a lot of bodybuilders, it's their second home, it's their church, it's their therapy, it's the place they go to because they feel comfortable with it. And you've been going to the same gym for a long time. You have a good relationship with the